Hello! Welcome to Honest Conversations with Lindsay. My name is Lindsay, and if you want a little bit more of an introduction of my channel, there's a short video linked in the description here that I filmed earlier, and it gives a little rundown of my channel and what I do. But if you're just here for Sarah Dessen, let's get going. I do not edit videos, I just like to talk, so if you don't like me saying and me pausing and me looking down, you're looking at the wrong review video because this is just me. So what I thought I would do is talk about Sarah Dessen a little bit and talk about my experiences reading her books, and then I'm going to give you my top 5 favorite Sarah Dessen books and tell you a little bit more about those 5 in particular. So rundown of Sarah Dessen. I've been reading her books since I was in probably late middle school. I was probably about 14 when I started reading Sarah Dessen. And I loved them so much when I was that age, and especially in like earlier high school, because every single one of them is just a very like cute beach read. All of them have characters that are like around high school or college age. They're all set in this cute little beach town, and they're just a good book to like relax with. Nothing super like high stress goes on. They're just really nice, like easy reads, and that's honestly what I look for a lot of times in a book. And so when I was younger, especially, this was like my go-to. I always could count on Sarah Dessen to really like lighten the mood for me. So since it is the end of summer, and if you're interested in YA, and especially like YA romance, this would be a great author to look into. She doesn't have any series that I know of. However, a lot of her books are set in the very same town. They're set in Colby, I think is the name of the town. Colby, which is like a cute little beach town. And while there are no series, in a bunch of the books, you will get little references to characters from other books. So like a main character of one book will make this like very minute appearance in the other one, and I love that because I read books because of characters. And so if a character that I absolutely loved from one book makes an appearance in another one, it just makes me happy. So anyway, if you like that, Sarah Dessen is for you. I'm looking at all of her books. I have them all spread out here. I think I'm going to show you some of the ones that I would recommend, but they're not in the top 5, and then I'm going to get to my top 5. So a couple Sarah Dessen books that I would recommend. These are not necessarily the most beach reading ones. They're so good though. I would recommend Lock and Key by Sarah Dessen. This one is pretty sweet. Boy Next Door. It's very like cliche romance. Another one is What Happened to Goodbye. This one is about a girl who's like struggling with her identity a little bit. So if you like books about that, this one's a pretty good one. Keeping the Moon is, I think, possibly the first one that I read by her. I do really like it. It's definitely a friendship book, which is really sweet. Definitely a sweet book. I would recommend this one, actually. This one almost made my top 5 list. Once and for All is about a girl who works at a wedding planning, or like in a wedding planning program, because of her parents, which is pretty cool. So you would think that she was like all into love, but she's actually really cynical because she works at all these weddings and she sees how they're actually not very happy. Actually, a really interesting one. And then what I believe is her most recent, or at least the most recent of hers that I've read, is Saint Anything. I know a lot of people loved this one, but it just wasn't for me. It was a little darker than the other ones, just from what I'm remembering. And honestly, I read her books to relax, and this one was not as relaxing, so it's good if you like a good plot. This is a good one, but if you're looking to relax, don't read this one. Okay, I think that's it. As you can tell, I don't really want to elaborate on all of them because that would be super long, so that's just all I'm going to say about those. There's just not really any point in me like telling you the plot of the whole book. Those are just like, they're solid reads. I would recommend all 5, or yeah, there's 5 of them. All 5 of those that I recommend, that I showed you, I would recommend, but I wouldn't go out of your way to read them. Now, here is the 5 that I really think that you would love if you love any kind of YA, if you love any kind of beach read, any kind of like cute romance. These are for you, okay? Actually, I think this is her most recent one. yeah, this is from 2019. The rest of the story is an amazing book. This is what it looks like. The rest of the story. It is such a good book. It's about a girl who, her name is Emma, but she has this whole other like family and life kind of in this place called, I think it's North Lake. Yeah, North Lake. And she's arrives there for the summer. It's kind of a long story how she gets there, but she ends up going there, and it's where her mother grew up, and she does not know her mom. Her mom passed away, and her mom used to call her Sailor, and so this is all of her mom's family that lives there. They all call her Sailor. She's like a whole new person, and it's this bizarre like struggle with identity, but it's also really cute, like beach read, and has a romance in it. The way I'm explaining it is a bit confusing, but yeah, she struggles between being Emma and being Sailor, and like what that means for her in the two different places. It's definitely a good one. The ending on this one, top tier. You gotta read this one if you like good endings. This is probably the best ending of a Sarah Dessen book, I would say, so highly recommend. That one. Moving on. Another one I really recommend is Just Listen. This is one of her older ones. I believe, I'm going to check real quick. I think that, yeah, 2006. So this one is definitely an older one of hers. Again, one of the first ones that I read. This one's really good because, well, it has a lot to do with music, and I just happen to really like that. So I enjoyed this one for that reason. But also it's about a girl named Annabelle who does modeling. And so a lot of it has to do with image and like how people perceive you and how people perceive your life. And it's a really good like discussion of identity in that way. And even though it was written in 2006, it is so relevant to today. I think of social media a lot when I read this book, because even though the characters don't have social media in this book, I feel like they're struggling with the same things that like a lot of teens today struggle with social media, with like comparison and like assuming that other people's lives are perfect. So this one has really good themes. If you like a good like high school like theme, this one's for you. Moving on is actually, I'm gonna spoiler, this is my favorite. I'm gonna wait and do this one last. I'll do this one. The Truth About Forever. The Truth About Forever is another really good one. This girl works at a catering business, and she meets this like dark, mysterious boy named Wes. This is probably my favorite love interest of all of the Sarah Dessen books, and that's saying something because she's really good at writing good love interests. So I cannot say enough about Wes. He's amazing. For that reason, it's on my top 5. Honestly, the rest of the story was just a pretty normal summer read, I would say. It wasn't anything too crazy, but Wes, we stayed for Wes, so that's why it made top 5. All right, this one, I love this one. First of all, can we just appreciate the cover of this one? It's called The Moon and More, or just Moon and More. Look at that beautiful cover. Wow, it's art. This is another really good one. This is kind of like a country girl or like small town girl meets like New Yorker guy a little bit. I really liked it. I'm actually gonna read the back on this one because I think it kind of sums it up well, and I think it's a good. So it says, the perfect life. At first glance, Emmeline seems to have it all. A great boyfriend, a close-knit family, an idyllic beach town to call home. But now, in the summer before college, Emmeline wonders if perfect is good enough. Then she meets Theo, an ambitious young New Yorker assisting on a documentary film about a reclusive local artist. He's sophisticated and exciting, and thinks Emmeline is destined for bigger things. Emmeline wants the moon and more, but can she balance where she comes from with where she's going? I love how dramatic she makes all of her back covers. And it makes it sound really cheesy. And yes, it is a little bit cheesy, but it's a good book and I enjoy reading it. And this is a fairly big book. I mean, this is 430 some pages long. So definitely a big book, especially for what sounds like a very simple plot, but this one has a lot more to it than many beach reads. Would highly recommend this one. It's a good one. And now, My very favorite, Along for the Ride. This one's a little more tattered than the other ones because I've read it multiple times because that is how much I love it. Along for the Ride is what it's called. So this one is, I'm gonna read the back on this one too because it's just so good. It says, up all night. Nights have always been Auden's time, her chance to escape everything that's going on around her. Then she meets Eli, a fellow insomniac, and he becomes her nocturnal tour guide. Now, with an endless supply of summer nights between them, almost anything can happen. Ugh, doesn't that just sound good? So yeah, Auden is an insomniac, which started because her parents fought a lot at night when she was younger, and she used to be able to hear them, and that made her not be able to sleep. And so ever since, she's been an insomniac. And then she meets Eli, who's also one. And so they're in this cute beach town called Colby, and they're both insomniacs, and they both like go out and ride their bikes at night, and it's just cool. It's just a cool book. Like, I just love everything about it. There's really good characters in this one. Honestly, the whole cast of characters in this one is really great. But it's just the night aspect for me that's really cool, that like almost the whole entire book takes place at night. This one also deals with some pretty heavy stuff, to be honest, especially for a beach read. It deals a lot with grief and with loss, and with family troubles. And so, you know, definitely darker themes, but the way Sarah Dessen handles them is very, it's very good. Like she handles these sorts of topics very well. She does it in a very effortless way where it doesn't feel forced. Sometimes when authors, like, I feel like authors will try to force a dark subject because they feel like they need to make their plot better. Sarah does not do that. Or at least it doesn't seem like she does it. She definitely weaves those kinds of things in very eloquently into her stories, and they seem to just make sense. And it really does like illustrate that, you know, those things are a part of life, and like even in a beach read, not everything is picturesque, and it's kind of poetic. For that reason, I really do recommend Sarah Dessen. If you have any like younger teens or teens in your life, or if you are one, I would really recommend giving these a read because they do deal with just the humanity of being a teenager, and she definitely doesn't paint it to be like this perfect time. Like she really understands like the struggles that teens go through, and when I was like in earlier high school, I definitely felt very like seen by her books. I really loved that she didn't paint every single one of them to be like perfect, or like all of them were popular, or whatever the case. Like she definitely paints real pictures of teens. And for that, I love her. And I gotta say, she's been one of my most consistent authors. She just never lets me down. I love every single one of her books. You should definitely give them a try if you're into that kind of thing. And even if you're not, it's August. Might be fun to try. So, anyway, let me know if you have ever read a Sarah Dessen book, which one your favorite is, or if you like them at all. Maybe you can give me a little ranking of your top few Sarah Dessens if you've read them before. But yeah, I think that's all I've got. Thank you so much for listening to what I had to say, and I hope you found it useful. Hope you maybe got a good recommendation out of me, and yeah, have a great day.